Good evening, Fiji, and welcome to For the Record. This evening, we're very happy to present to you a brand new show format as a lead-up to the upcoming elections in September. For the Record will for the first time be an hour long, and joining me on the interview panel are my co-presenters, senior journalist from our FBC newsroom, Edwin Nund, and seasoned journalist and Fiji Sun's managing editor training, Mr. Neamani Ntelembatiki. Welcome, gentlemen. Now, this new and exciting format has never been done before in Fiji, and we're very happy to share this historic occasion in development media in Fiji with our guest this evening, the leader of Fiji First and the Prime Minister, Morenge Bainimarama. A very good evening, sir.
Good evening, Ben.
And welcome to the show. Now, in the last 8 years as the Prime Minister, you've possessed this drive to change the nation's development. Many who have come before you may have not made as many changes as you have. Now, what's behind this drive?
Pedale, as you know, out of that drive in the last few years was born this movement, the Fiji First Party. And it came from the events in the past, the political events, especially the political events in the past, and most especially the political unrest in Fiji in the past. As you know, and as the public knows, I was also the commander of the RFMF. And we felt the brunt of this political unrest, especially the events of 2000, where the deaths of our soldiers occurred. First time ever, our soldiers died at the hands of other Fijians in Fiji. And we learned from those events, especially the events of 2000, the November 2nd, and we wanted to change the ball game from what it was to where we should go. Those policies that carried us from 87 to 2000 by nationalism, we wanted to change that so the people of Fiji can be content and feel good about Fiji and being about Fijian. And that was one of the reasons that we did what we did in 2006. So we can change all that. And then we continued from there, and everyone knows about the Charter. And if you look at the Charter, the 11 pillars of Charter is nothing but bringing about development in Fiji. And of course, out of the Charter and out of the things that we've discussed in the past came the Constitution. We put together a Constitution. That Constitution, as I keep telling the people at large, the public at large, it's not just done as if the winning party was going to be the Fiji First. It's not done for the government, the ongoing government now. It is done from the lessons we've learned about our political history of Fiji in the last 30, 40, 50 years. And that is one of the things that we've put together in our constitution that we should in the constitution of the party, that we must look after and protect the Fiji Constitution, the 2013 Constitution. And that is again why we've gone at large trying to protect this Constitution, which we think is one of the best constitutions we can ever come up with.
You say that Fiji First is a movement, but you're registered as a political party.
Well, it is a party, but it came out of a movement, the movement that I talked about, the movement from 2000, all the events that came together in 2000. A lot of people don't know the in-betweens, what happened between 2000 and 2006. A lot of people know that, but they tend to ignore the facts. But it is a movement. It is a movement because of the events of 2000 and 2006, it is a movement to take Fiji forward, to look after the people of Fiji, the whole of Fiji at large. Not just one section, not just one population, and not just one race, to look at everyone in total.
Mr. Bainimarama, if I may just step in. When you first began, you mentioned the point of November 2nd, 2000 and the death of soldiers. You were commander, and that must have had a huge personal impact on you. How much of a part did this play in the cleanup campaign that began in 2006, bearing in mind the 6-year gap between 2000 and 2006?
Well, November 2nd was part of that, the killing of our soldiers, the mutiny, but in changing the ball game, as I said, we need to look back to the events prior to 2000 and 2000, even prior to November 2nd. And we need to look at the things, what brought 2000 about. That was probably one of the darkest days, if not the darkest days in Fiji. Everyone has been talking about it, and we need to get out of those dark days. And that is the reason why we came up with the 2006.
Do you feel that the Constitution serves as a guarantee that there will be no more repetition of what happened in 2006?
I can bet you my bottom dollar that the 2013 Constitution will protect everyone.
Okay.
There will be no repetition of 2000 and 2006, especially 2006. And that was what we've been talking about throughout, the military at least. That the 2006 was to end all coups. And that was where we came up with the cleanup campaign, Ed.
Your political rivals would deny that.
What would they say?
No guarantee of no future coups in the 2013 Constitution. They've been doing it in their rallies.
Well, I think if you follow the 2013 Constitution, there'll be no coups.
That is your personal belief.
Yeah.
So even if you lose the election, there will be no coup or anything like that? No, I'm saying, in the unlikely event that you lose the election, what do you think would happen after? Because you seem to have
the unlikely event that I will lose the election.
Yeah.
A new political party will lead our nation.
Okay.
Leads to my next question. All the parties out there have been saying one of the top issues on their political agenda is a review of the Constitution and a review of all decrees that have been put in place. If Fiji First doesn't win, these other parties come in, all the work that you've done, your government has done since 2006 until now, is at risk of being unraveled.
That's a prerogative of a new government. But let me tell you something else. It's not easy to change the Constitution. You need 75% of the endorsement of Parliament and parliamentarians, and of course 75% of the voting people outside Parliament. So it will be brought to the public at large. And that goes on. And I just like to go on to these talks about bringing the BLV back. I've heard, I have not seen the whole text of Garase's talk in the YouTube lately that was put together by Mick Beddoes. But I've been told that in his statement he said if SDL wins or SODELPA wins, they will bring back the BLV.
Mr. Madmaram, I'm sorry, due to time constraints, we're just going to take a short break, but we
Sure.
will come right back to this right here on For the Record.
Okay.
Welcome back to For the Record, and just before the break, we have this evening the Prime Minister and also the leader of Fiji First, who was just addressing a YouTube video that had been circulating in the internet this week, and has the Laisenia Garase responding to comments made by the Attorney General, Mr. Ayaz Said Qayyum. Now, just before the break, sir, you were talking of this video. You were speaking of this video.
Yes, I was saying that Garase had mentioned in the video that if SODELPA wins, they would bring back the BLV. I want to tell Garase that it's not as easy as that, because bringing back the BLV needs endorsement of Parliament, because it comes under equal citizenry. You can't just bring back the BLV without changing the Constitution. And you need to change the Constitution to get rid of the equal citizenry, which is one of the non-negotiables of the Constitution. So
everything that you've achieved, you're relying on the Constitution to uphold it.
Put in the Constitution to uphold all that. So that's why I'm saying there'll never be another coup if you follow that constitution.
All right. That was one video by Laiseni Ngarase. Last week, on Saturday, the People's Democratic Party held a delegates conference. Felix Anthony made a statement, and he said the exact same things. We will review the decision to abolish the GCC. We feel that the GCC is important to advise the government on indigenous affairs. A week earlier, Mahendra Chaudhry in Nasinu at a political rally, he was addressing a group largely made up of Indo-Fijians. He said the same thing. Now you have SODELPA, which has already made its stand clear. The People's Democratic says the same, and Fiji Labour Party is along the same lines. Three emerging parties, or three of your rivals, on the same track.
They're not on the same track for that reason. They're on the same track to get rid of Fiji First from the scene. That's the reason why they've got all these together. The policies are same in some instances when they're talking about the constitution. I don't think those new parties, especially the Indo-Fijian dominated ones, realize what bringing back the Great Council of Chiefs will mean. They're just doing it because they may be scared of what SODELPA can do if they win. Not that I'm saying that they win, but I don't think they realize what they're getting themselves into. But it's not easy bringing back as I've said, it's not easy bringing back the Great Council of Chiefs. You can't just bring back the Great Council of Chiefs overnight.
You made a statement in Rewa, you were speaking in Itoke, addressing potential voters. You explained, even without the Great Council of Chiefs, the traditional Itoke system is still protected. What did you mean by that? Can you explain that?
All the other parties have been talking about the Great Council of Chiefs looking after the indigenous population. Yeah? So who's going to look after you? Who's going to look after the Rotumans? Who's going to look after the Chinese, the Pacific Islanders? And I've said in the past that the Great Council of Chiefs had turned political in the last 30, 40 years. If you can remember clearly that in 1987 it was a SVT supported Great Council of Chiefs. In 2000 it was SDL supported Great Council of Chiefs. So they looked after the SVT policies and the SVT supporters in 87. In 2000 they looked after the SDL supporters and the SDL policies.
Is the chiefly system still...
The chiefly system, they're trying to confuse the people at large, especially the Taukeis. They're trying to confuse them with chiefs and the Great Council of Chiefs. These are totally different, they're separate. The chiefs will never be removed from here. They will be here till the end of things, end of the world with us, because this is where they belong. The Great Council of Chiefs is a totally different ballgame. It's a political entity. It's the most undemocratic entity in Fiji. They were relevant then, before 1970. I think now they are most irrelevant because they've turned political. They're not going to look after the interest of everyone in Fiji. And that's what the Constitution says. We want everyone to be looked after.
So what would the chiefs, last question, what would the chief's role now be in Fiji?
The chief's role has never changed from the leadership of the Itaukes in their venuas, in their districts, in their province. They're there to provide advice, to provide leadership in the Itauke environment. They're not there, no longer now, they're not doing it now, to be grouped together as a political party.
How would a chief represent the concerns of his people to the government?
It comes through the provincial council. It comes through the district meetings. It comes through the provincial council. But people tend to forget there are two entities that look after the Itaukes. The Ministry of Tauke Affairs, which I, as minister, am a minister of, and the other one is a Fijian Affairs Board called the Tauke Affairs Board. They look after the well-being of the Tauke, the culture, the language. We do that. We don't need a Great Council of Chiefs to do that for us. The Great Council of Chiefs have ended up being a political entity, a political body that has never looked after the interest of everyone in Fiji. Again, having said that, I want to say that having been told of Lassina Ngarse's comments, he talked about the Attorney General as being an Indo-Fijian, and he doesn't have the right to talk about things. Okay, that's the gist of all this. It's racism cropping up his ugly head again. And guess who put that recording together? I heard it was Mick Beddoes. Is Mick Beddoes it okay? That's what people should be asking one another. Eh? And
But you wouldn't want to stoop to that level, I would think.
no, but I'm trying to tell these people they have to look at the facts. I have to tell the Tokay people, the people of this nation, the public at large, don't listen to lies. Don't listen to this politics of fear that is being brought before the election of September 17 to sway your judgment, to sway where you're going to tick. I really don't mind if they talk about development. I really don't mind that at all. But I'm a bit worried now that all they're talking about is getting rid of the Constitution. What would that do to the stability of the nation, getting rid of the Constitution?
That's one question I'd like to ask. With all the utterances by other political parties regarding land, the Constitution, the BLV, are you worried? You know, you said you're worried. I was going to ask that. Are you worried that, I mean, the latest Fiji Sun poll says that you are well ahead. So why would you be worried? Probably the question is, or are you worried that that they are saying it when the voters now, according to our estimation, that what they want to hear now is the bread and butter issues, you know.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I agree. Even if I win 80% of the vote
Yeah.
in the 2013-17 September election, I'd still be worried about how the Taukays see how things run in Fiji. And I'm worried about this political party spreading lies, you know, talking about the Great Council of Chiefs and Garase's comments. People have tend to forget that he was the one that got the $20 million loan from the Great Council of Chiefs, from government, endorsed by the Great Council of Chiefs, which went to the Fijian Holding. And guess what?
Yeah.
Guess where it was turned into a grant, right? That was endorsed by the Great Council of Chiefs. A good number of the people of Fiji didn't see the 20 million, only a handful. And those are the handful of people that want the Great Council of Chiefs to be revived.
How much penetration is
My
is
apologies,
your message?
Nemani. We're just going to have to
Okay.
take another short break. We'll be right back in this very interesting discussion with the Prime Minister and leader of Fiji First.
Inaka.
Welcome back to For the Record, and we continue our discussion with the leader of Fiji First and also our Prime Minister. Now, just before the break, Nemani, you had a question for the Prime Minister?
Yep. SUDALPA has been trying to target the Itoke. And like we've heard, they've been spreading all this talk about land and constitution and the BLV. How much penetration do you think you have as a political party among the Itoke grassroots in as far as all these issues are concerned?
Well, in the last 8 years, our policies have been acclaimed as one of the best policies by any government. That in itself is a penetration to the people of Fiji, what we can do. We've gone around in our campaign tour as well, and we've told the people at large about the lies that are being spread. But the thing is, we've come up with pamphlets that talk about the issues that we talk about, which all to do with the Constitution. And this is one thing that my party or my movement will defend, the 2013 Constitution. And we brought up everything they've talked about. Everything is in this Constitution, and they're all lies. What they've been saying throughout in their campaign are all lies. They are all here in the Constitution. All you have to do is read the Constitution.
What are some of the lies?
Well, to do with land, for instance,
Yeah.
the Tokay land. The Tokay land, they said, is not is not protected in the Constitution. I don't know what else, what other protection do they need in the Constitution but the Tilke land. They said, that's one of the reasons they want the BLV back. The BLV is to protect the Tilke rights in the Constitution about the land. The BLV was sitting there right nice and proper when they took Mobi and Denarau and turned it into freehold land. BLV was there. They didn't do anything about it. I found that out in 2011, and we put in a decree in 2012 to stop that. And that has been included in the 2013 Constitution.
Mr. Madawina, what are the policies or what are the issues leading into the elections for Fiji First? Not what's being said by the other parties, not what they're trying to do, but the issues for you.
The issues, I've been asked about the manifesto. That would be the issues that we're going to take into the Constitution. Ours is not going to change much from what we've been doing in the last 8 years in terms of the economy, in terms of education. Maybe we need to brush up a little on areas, but not much not much change from what we've been doing in the last 8 years, because I think we've been doing remarkably well with our policies.
Do you have a position on the economy, a policy, strategies?
Well, you know that the growth is going to be about 3.8 this year, 3.8%. But our policy in the economy is not going to change. We intend to be consistent with our policies, our fiscal policies, and that has brought about stability now. In fact, there's been a buzz in town, as I keep saying, about the stability, and it's going to explode in our face. Bringing in investors and looking after them. There's been a whole lot of talk about bringing Chinese in. These are investors. We need to look after them. They bring in money, and they provide employment and work for the people of Fiji.
So apart from economy and education, you also have to talk about health, social welfare, roads.
That is going to be part and parcel of our policies and our manifesto. We're going to improve on those. There's a lot of things that need to be done in terms of our infrastructure, our road, our water. Every day we receive complaints, and for some reason, just coming up to the election, people think that we can change things overnight and bring them water overnight and fix their roads overnight. These are all planned things. FRA has planned to fix all the roads in Fiji. And you may complain about our road, but this road has to be done first.
How soon is Fiji First going to launch its manifesto?
Oh, in a couple of weeks. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question? Since 2006, you have governed without any opposition. Now you're going to go into an election. Are you prepared to have an opposition questioning you, asking questions, opposing you in Parliament and outside of Parliament?
That's what democratic parliament is all about.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if I can just add on to that, democratic parliament, all well and good, but you haven't had the experience of having an opposition sitting across from you and trying to shoot down any policy or strategies you come up with. How do you think you'll manage with that, after, bearing in mind, after so many years of your government without a parliament, without opposition? This is something new for you even.
No, I don't think it's new. I've been having the same opposition from 2000.
Yeah, but they did not have the power to change anything. This is a democratically elected
the opposition
parliament.
is still there, and that's what I'm going to face in Parliament. There's no difference.
So you're saying they won't be able to stop your government if you get into Parliament?
Stop my government in what?
In anything that you want to do. All this opposition over these years, there has been opposition, but you and your administration have carried forward with the work and the projects and the development that you've seen important.
Yeah.
Are you
Here
saying
now
that-
in
yeah.
Parliament,
Yeah.
there may be a situation where they can vote against
Yes,
your
yes, that
decisions.
that should be accommodated
Yeah.
because it's part of parliamentary process.
Are you saying there'll be no difference? It'll be business as usual, like you're carrying now,
Well-
even with an opposition there?
Well, we hope that we're going to continue with if we win. Well, we will win, and we hope we will continue with the policies that we have. to do with infrastructure, to do with development in our economy. If opposition is going to go against that, well,
Because one of your
He
strengths,
was making well.
yeah,
well, they're going to have to face the public of Fiji.
yeah, one of the strengths that you have is to be able to make prompt decisions on matters of national importance, developments, and that's one of the things that people are talking about. The efficient, quick delivery of your policies. When after the election, they will go through the process of parliament, which means there'll be a lot of questions asked. You go through that bureaucracy,
Yes.
You think that'd be a problem?
Well, as I said, that should not be a problem because it's part of the parliamentary process. It's a democracy that we've been craving for.
Okay.
But that's also one of the reasons that a lot of people in Fiji don't want this election. They want a strong, decisive leader. Have a look at the rest of the political parties. Look at their leadership.
I'll take you back.
On that note, we'll just take a short break right here on For the Record. We'll be right back after this.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, look at the...
Welcome back to For the Record. We're speaking with the Prime Minister and leader of Fiji First. Now, Mr. Bainimarama, you are at this time the face of Fiji First, so to speak. When are you going to introduce your candidates for the elections?
Thank you, Pedeli. I've just been talking to my executives a couple of hours ago, and we'll be releasing the names in the next couple of days. But it'll come we'll probably release about 15, 20. The first lot that we've gone through, credible people. But then again, we want 50 credible people in our party.
What has the response been like for those who apply?
Oh, we've had very good responses from the public at large.
What sort of general background are we looking at in terms of different sectors of society?
Oh, different sectors of society. We're looking at someone who can represent the disabled people. We want people. We want people who can represent the women. We're looking at accountants and lawyers. We don't want people who can win seats for us, but not good enough to sit in as cabinet ministers, for instance.
Would you have a fair representation of, say, women in your lineup, and the young voters? Would you have a fair representation?
Well, we're not going to have any oldies.
Okay, like me.
No, like some parties we've seen.
Well,
Okay.
speaking of, back in the day, in the initial stages of the cleanup campaign, you had said that neither you nor anyone in your government would stand for elections. Why the change?
But things have gone under us. Things have moved on. When we talked then, we was talking about forming a government there and then and having election there and then. But at the back of our mind, we have to put in a good constitution. That has changed the ball game altogether for everyone in Fiji. So you're not going to let me go just because of that statement in 2006.
That's why I asked. I mean, what changed your mind? What was the deciding factor for you? Because at that point in time, you were very adamant about it.
Yeah.
And some people are still using it as part of their campaign that you promised. You promised the nation.
That's a political issue. That's
Yeah.
politically,
that's
that's his rivals talking about
Yeah.
what he did and why he changed.
Yeah.
I want to ask you personally, directly, what was the factor that changed your mind?
Putting this together. A lot of people don't, as I said, a lot of people don't know the years between 2000 and 2006 and ongoing from there to now. A lot of people don't know that when I said we were going to have election in 2009, I said we will have election in 2009 if we're ready by then. That was a pressure put on me by the Tongan Prime Minister and the Papua New Guinea Prime Minister then in Tonga.
Did they give you the deadline, or did they ask you to?
No, they asked me to make a comment and say that we will have election in 2009, and I told them I can't make that promise because we are not ready for 2009 election, and they said just make it.
Just to get the pressure off
yeah,
your
just
back?
get the. So I made that statement, but I said, if you look at that statement, it said, if and when we're ready, we'll have the election in 2009. And ready means this. This is ready for me. It's getting ready for me.
You have the constitution out. The party has gone about with the campaign, yet you're consistently being targeted for comments like this,
Yeah.
being made in the past, comments that you've made in the past. How does that make you feel?
Well, it has made me stronger for one thing. I mean, I'm not going to move away from what we decided in 2000 to bring about a better Fiji. We are not going to move away from the events of 2006, where we said we'll do a clean-up campaign and clean up Fiji and bring about a better Fiji. And that's the same movement that we've used in the Fiji First Party statement to move Fiji onto a new Fiji. Kuna vitan lo takatungo. Ana kaya pinakaiti siku weekend na leo ni bunua. Menda toso na vitiwo. Fiji First.
Do you feel that your campaign is being bogged down because day in, day out, you and your General Secretary, Mr. A.S.A. Kayum, are having to defend Fiji First or to explain one issue or another issue? The three main ones are the Constitution, the Great Council of Chiefs, and the decrees that have been put in place. You have to go around in circles and defend yourself or explain the situation because your rivals are, as you say, misrepresenting all the information.
Well, besides that, we talk of a lot of other things. We talk about health and the economy and everything that's under the sun that needs to take Fiji forward. It's just not countering all these talks from the political parties.
Does it get difficult because you do it in Rewa and then you have to do it again in Nandi?
That's what campaigning is all about. You have to move from place to place.
Can go back to the candidates. You said you're going to announce 20 in this month?
Yeah, about 15, 20. Yeah.
This week?
This week, in the next couple of days.
Couple of days. And those 15 have a fair representation of women and young voters. And
Yes, yes. But we're not a whole bunch of fuddy-duddies, you know. But again, we look at credible people. We don't want people with baggage. We don't want people, for instance, who were very much involved in 2000.
So what will you tell them when they come in? In a very first meeting with the candidates, what will you tell them? Because they'll be going out there to campaign. You know, what sort of message do you want them to take out?
We've got campaign material all programmed, all ready for all those that are going to stand, but not only for those who are going to stand. We have campaign material for everyone that's out there that supports Fiji First, the movement.
So 50 candidates, let's look at post-election. There is a parliament. It's an open constituency. Every candidate represents every citizen of Fiji. I'm from Nasinu. I have a serious issue with water. Who do I go and see without the risk of being fobbed off to another, to another, to another? Who's my constituent representative?
But who are you going to vote for?
What if the person
There's
that
no
he
way to
voted
verify.
for is
There's
not
no way to
him?
verify who I voted for.
Who are you going to vote for? You're not going to vote for somebody from Nasinu.
That's just it.
So what you're saying is we move back to.
No, I'm seeking clarification.
Okay.
I would like to understand.
Okay, the thing is this. When we were coming up with the charter, there was a certain gentleman that said we must go back to voting in constituencies, okay, the 14 provinces. And I said, no, we should move away from that. Has not been good for us, for people in Fiji. And I told them about the development in Rotuma. Rotuma is now, or has been undergoing one of the biggest development on the island ever. You talk to anyone from Rotuma, and they'll tell you. We've done that so that they can do exports with, sell their produce to Tuvalu and hopefully with Gilbas.
I think there's negotiations over Ndalo.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest development in Rotuma, one of the biggest development in Koro. No one in cabinet is from Rotuma. It takes good leadership to do all this. And that's what it takes. Good leadership to fix the road, even though you're not going to take someone in particular from Nasino. That's why it's an open constituency.
How would that work realistically?
You go into the booth, and if you think our policies are good, you pick anyone. That's in Fiji First.
That's fair enough. Post-election, I mean, I still want clarification.
Yeah.
If I have a concern and I go to any candidate in Parliament and say, look, this is my concern, there is the danger that they may turn around and say, look, why don't you talk to that person?
No.
Or you talk to that person.
There's no danger of that.
I'm going to have to interrupt you. We're going to have to head into a short break, but we'll be right back here on For the Record with more discussion with the Prime Minister and leader of Fiji First.
There's no danger of that.
Welcome back to For the Record, and we continue our discussion with the leader of Fiji First and the Prime Minister, Warenge Bainimarama. Mr. Bainimarama, I'm going to ask you this. Now, there have been comments and also, leveled against the government, but also underlying statements with regards to the church and with regards to, those that you've already addressed regarding Indo-Fijians, especially with the video that had been released on YouTube. Now, let's talk about the comments by SODELPA, talking about how they cannot worship their God. What do you say to these types of comments?
Sorry, but
These are comments with regards to not being able to worship properly, for all Christians not being able to worship properly.
I can give an example. There was a comment from Laisani Angarase, speaking on behalf of SODELPA, saying, under the Constitution, you cannot pray to Jesus or Jehovah, quote unquote.
That was at a political meeting in Singapore.
I really don't know where he's coming from, because no one has ever stopped him from praying to Jesus. If anyone stopped him from praying to Jesus, I'd like to see him. Because there's nothing in the law, first of all, there's nothing in the law that stops anyone from forcing people not to pray to Jesus. Nor have I seen anybody come up to Ngarase and said, you can't pray to Jesus.
Why do you think he specifically mentioned Jehovah and Jesus?
Well, you see, this is the gist of the argument, because the Indo-Fijians are different from the Itokais. We supposedly are Christians. Christians who don't love. And that's really the bottom line. Because I've been telling the public at large, since when has anyone been taught not to hate another race? Have you been brought up in a family who teaches you to hate another race? Have you been brought up in a church that teaches you at Sunday school to hate another race? Have you been taught at school to hate another race? No. These are issues brought out by the politicians. And unfortunately for us, most of these politicians are Christians. And we should be talking about love. They are not. They are talking about hating other races and hating other beliefs in other churches.
Are you afraid, because these campaigns and these politicians, they're talking of issues which are very sensitive to the people and which can be insightful. It can incite fear, it can incite hatred and such. Do you fear for Fiji when these sort of speeches are going on? Do you fear what may occur?
No. I fear that this will be digested by the public at large and accepted as the truth, when it is not. That's what I fear. I don't fear any march down the streets like we had in 2000. That's not going to happen again. I can bet you my bottom dollar that's not going to happen in Fiji, not ever. Because it's a certain entity that sits up at 4 miles that's overlooking all this. They're not going to let that happen again.
Do you say that as former military commander, or do you say that as Fiji First leader?
No, I see that as someone who believes in what we've done, what the military had done in 2006 to take Fiji forward.
So anybody, after watching this show, could twist your words and say, look, he's backing on the military to help him win the election.
Oh, not really.
They can interpret it in that way and use that against you.
Well, they've been doing that in the last 8 years, so why should it worry me? They can even use the military to protect them, to assist them in the election if they want to. But talking about the truth in the Constitution.
Can I ask something about the Methodist Church is the biggest religious Christian denomination in Fiji. Not long ago, they were banned from holding their meetings. And it affected a lot of them. And they talk about it. It's very dear to their hearts. Do you regret making the decision to ban those meetings that they have annually? Do you think that would damage your chances of winning the election?
No. If it was going to stop me from being a Christian, then I would worry about it. I don't know if you know Namani, but the Talatalas in 2000, leading up to 2006, even after 2006, most of the Talatalas sided with the SDL and preached from the pulpit to hate another race.
There was
and it was very fortunate that just in the last couple of months, maybe within the last 12 months, the leadership of the Methodist Church has turned around and said, we will not delve into politics anymore. They made that statement, which meant that they were dealing in politics before that.
Rotemumu, I mean, along the same lines, Rotemumu has also referred to in some of her speeches about the comment you made about the chiefs who go drink homebrew in under a mango tree. They keep bringing that up, Did you regret making that statement then?
No.
No.
Because that statement was made with regard to some issues back then.
Okay.
So obviously.
So there was a context. There was a context.
Sentiment,
Yes.
What's your sentiment towards chiefs in Fiji right now?
I don't know if you know, but I have a chief. He's in my home village, and I look up to him for advice, for leadership, and he tells us what to do and what not to do. That's what chiefs should be doing in their villages, in their setting. If you want the chief to come and be a politician, then come and be a politician. Leave the chieftain behind, somebody else.
Mr.
Don't mix the two together.
I'm going to have to ask you this. What about those who continue to say that the GCC, or the Bosilevo Turanga, is part of Fijian culture? Getting rid of it is desecrating our culture.
I don't know what that has to do with Fijian culture, the Tokay culture, for instance. As I've said, the BLV was relevant 40 years ago, maybe, before 1970. No one had the guts in Parliament to say, thank you, Chief, you need to move aside now. It's now democracy in 1970. No one had the guts to do that. So we're stuck with the Great Council of Chiefs for a big number of years until they came up all of a sudden being very political. That changed the ball game for us. They said, okay, thank you. You can now move aside. We now move forward without you, and nothing has changed. Has anything changed in the last 8 years? For the Tokays, for you? Has anything changed for you? Has anything changed for you in the last 8 years? Nothing has changed for me in the last 8 years. Not just because we've removed the Great Council of Chiefs. I don't know Fijian, the Tokay language, or don't know how to Zombo. I don't know what they're talking about when they said it's a pinnacle of Tokay culture.
They do say that.
Yeah, but what do they mean by that? I really don't see. That's what they're trying to tell the Tokay people, to win their hearts and minds, that we've done the wrong thing and this should be changed. Because when they change this, they're changing the policies that we put in place over the last 8 years. That's what they're trying to say.
So
changing the Constitution.
Race-based campaigning, ethnic issues being brought up. The groundwork has been set so that there is a common vote. People vote on issues and they vote on integrity, not on these
No, you should
what you would regard as gutter-based politics.
No.
But issues are still being brought up. Do you feel that there should be a stop to this a regulator or regulatory authority stepping in and saying, look, no, this is going against the intents of the Constitution and issues-based.
No, there's nothing against the Constitution in that. They can do whatever they want during politics and during campaigning.
So people can say whatever they want.
People can say whatever they want, as long as it doesn't create another march down the street. That's not going to happen.
I'm sorry, gentlemen, we've run out of time.
Can I get one last question in? Just one very quick one, Mr. Manimarama. During the time of your administration, until today, there have been no Auditor General's reports published of the work that's been done since 2006 to right now. Why is that?
The 2006, 2012, 13 auditor's report is made public. That's been made public all the time. People have put it in the papers. I don't know where your paper has been.
These reports are dealing with previous years, they are backdated, looking at government accounts pre-2006.
Yes, and the auditors are working towards all that. That just shows that everything has been outstanding for all this time.
Would you feel, just to
I'm sorry,
show
I
your...
have to...
would you feel it would be good for you to speed up the process, or ask them to have a special sitting and get everything under your administration
Everything I do in this government is to speed up the process. You don't know how much I've done to speed up the process in the administration of the government departments. I can tell you dozens of examples. 1,500 passports were sitting in immigration without being processed. I sent in half dozen of my people out there to help immigration department. There are 3,000 cases sitting in outstanding cases in labor department. I sent in a colonel, a doctor, major, with half dozen of my people that sorted out the 3,000 cases. A lot of people don't know that. And we're doing that the same with the Auditor General. But guess what? Come Parliament, that is going to be made public. So what do you worry about?
Thank you
On
very
that
much.
note, thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister.
Thank you.
Thank you again, gentlemen, for joining us this evening. And, that gives us to the end of this show, and an invite to you to tune in again next week for another panel and also another guest. Thank you very much again for joining us this evening.
Thank
For
you.
comments and for questions, you can send them to fortherecord@mbc.com.fj.
Thank
Good
you.
night, Fiji.
One question, President. If nobody comes in,